Hi, it's Shaun Whynacht here from Blue Cow Marketing. I was scheduled to be there at PartnerCon to present a topic about video production. And unfortunately, I never checked the expiry on my passport and found out at the airport that it indeed had expired. So I'm obviously not there. So what I decided to do was record the presentation and make it available to you here in the partner group, because I think that there's some value in still delivering this topic to you, especially if you are finding some challenges with being on camera and presenting marketing messages in video format. This presentation is going to help you out with that. So without further ado, what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip over here and we're going to go through the presentation. So I hope you enjoy it. And again, if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm available here. Hit me up on Facebook and we'll hopefully talk to you soon. All right, so let's hop over here and let's get started. All right, so today we're going to be talking about the fundamentals of video marketing. This is about taking your on-camera experience from blah to heck yeah, and that's what we're going to be covering in this presentation. Now, I'm not going to be talking about guru tips and get started quick and all this kind of stuff, or ninja moves and all that, those kind of marketing terms that you hear in a lot of different presentations. We're going to be talking about some key things, and we're going to be talking about fundamentals. Now, fundamentals are the things that when you implement and consider these in the entire process, you will be able to take your on-camera video production experience either for yourself, for a team member, or even better for a client from level 1 to level 10 or even closer to level 10. Obviously, it's going to take some time to get used to doing this type of production and being on camera. So implementing these fundamentals that we're going to talk about here is going to be crucial in doing that. But first, why video? Why do we want to use video in our marketing? Well, we know that there's a lot of statistics out there, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on statistics. But when we look at this, and these stats came from brightcove.com, 157% increase in organic traffic from search engines because of video. 105% increase in time on site. That's great, especially if you've got a high bounce rate or the session length of people on your landing pages and on your websites are really low. And 2 times overall conversion on sites with, or overall conversion on sites without video. So we're trying to make those conversions for ourselves or for our clients. Video is obviously a great way to do that, and the stats don't lie. But why? Why? Just why? All right, that's that question we ask. Why do people love video? Well, 20% of what we hear as a human being, we remember. 30% of what we see, we remember. But when we combine the two in seeing and hearing, it goes up to an amazing 70%. And that's what video does. It allows you to be seen, be heard, build that connection, build that authenticity that we really want to do in our marketing messages. People then can connect with you because they can see you, they can hear you, they can relate to you. So I want to do an exercise here. I want you to close your eyes. We're going dark for a few moments here. Close your eyes and think of the last time you had to be on camera. And if you're watching this and you've never been on camera at this point, think about the last time you had to talk in front of an audience. Think about that feeling you had. Were you nervous? Were you anxious? Did you feel like you were unprepared? Even the first time you were asked to do that or considered being on camera, did you know where to start? You know what? These type of feelings are common. Now, let's take the flip side. Think about the last time you did something you absolutely enjoyed, right? This was maybe it was going on a trip, or maybe it was doing a recreational sport that you absolutely enjoyed. And when you found out that you were getting to do that, what were those feelings? Excitement, enjoyment. You were looking forward to it. You see, the second one is where we want to get you to be when you think about doing video. And that's what we're going to accomplish here today, is putting those fundamentals in place so that the triggers for anxiety, for nervousness, for unpreparedness are eliminated. So we've broken it up into 3 key areas: their audience, story, and delivery. So we're going to get started with audience. Now, there's a common myth in shooting videos, especially if you're just starting out, and I see this all the time, and it's common also when you're doing webinars, is that we feel that we have to be talking to this mass audience. That while there may be more than one person watching your video, the reality is that you should be speaking just to one person. Because the person, the individual who is watching your video, they've hit your landing page, they've registered for your webinar, they're tuning into your Facebook Live or your YouTube Live, or you're watching your video on Instagram. This is one person that is seeking a solution to a problem that they have been led to you to be the guide to find the solution. So we need to talk to that one person, regardless of the fact that there may be hundreds or thousands that are watching this. They're not sitting in a room together watching it, so you need to speak to that person. Now, think about this. Think about when you go to a party, or maybe you're on a first date with somebody, or you're meeting somebody, okay? And you sit down and you have that first conversation. And immediately out of their mouth, they're just talking about themselves, right? What they like and you know what, their background and all this kind of stuff, right? You're going to tune out because there's nothing in it for you. And this is a common problem when we're shooting videos, is we tend to, when we start, we tend to feel to overshare about who we are, what we do, why we're doing what we do, our business history, our background, all these awards, because we feel that the audience really wants that. But in reality, what the audience wants is they want to hear a solution to the problem that you are going to be talking about. Because people aren't necessarily buying what you're buying. They're buying the outcome that what you sell will deliver to them. So we need to think about that when we're creating our videos. We don't want you to become this me monster where you're just turning that focus back on yourself. We need to genuinely talk to the person and show that we are there in the video to deliver quality, information, education to them. And to do that, there's a couple of words that we want to avoid. Everybody. And by this I mean, when you get into a video or you're starting a presentation, you say, "Hey everybody, welcome to this video." Right? I know why we do that. We do that because, for one, we feel that we are talking to the masses. And also, we think that by saying everybody, we feel that people will position where they're at when they're watching your video or watching your live, that there's a larger audience there. They're part of a bigger picture. But in reality, you're disconnecting that relationship with that single viewer. You all, right? I know you all have been here before. I know you all, right? It's that, or if you're from the South, it's y'all, right? So avoiding some of those words. But there is a golden word. There's a single golden word that if you consciously inject this word when addressing the person, the problem, the solution, you'll be able to make this connection. I'm sure you've guessed it. It's you. Do you feel? Can you relate? Does this sound like a solution that you could implement in your life, right? Just think about that power. Hear that. You. When somebody says you, your ears perk up. They're talking to you. So let's use this word more. So here are some things to know when you're producing your videos or creating your videos or even planning. You need to know the needs and wants of the person who you're targeting your video to. And this can be done through ideal target or personas. And if you've gone through that exercise of building avatars like digital marketer, we also call it personas, right? And targeting that, you'll be able to know what these needs and wants are, and you're going to be able to connect to them and bring out some of the script that you're going to develop to talk to these needs and wants. So if anybody's got kids, you know what, I can relate to this. You know, your kids will be like, I want that, I want that, right? And even though, or you know, they have these wants and these needs, because there's a difference between a need and a want, right? You got to decide which one is actually a need versus a want, right? Because they may need certain things, and wants are just nice to haves. You got to know their goals and their dreams. What are they trying to achieve? What's the ideal place that they need to be, that they want to be in their life, in their business? Because if you can show them what the potential is, what the possibility is in doing what it is that you are trying to teach them to do in your videos or educate them about your products, you're going to be able to relate to them, that you understand them. And lastly, speak to their pain points, right? There are certain pains that people have in their current journey that there's a reason why they are there hitting play on your video, and speak to these. When you can address the questions before they are asked, the conversation will continue. And by that I mean, if somebody's watching a video and they start to have a question and you're not answering that question, they're more focused on the question than they are on the messaging you have. But if you naturally can just inject the questions with the answers throughout your video, they're like, wow, like that's what I was thinking, right? I was wondering this, and it's going to follow through. Now, we need to look at how are they consuming the video? And this is something that we tend to not spend a lot of focus on early on in creating videos, but now it's more prevalent to spend the time to focus on this. How are they consuming? And by this, I mean, what are they consuming it on? Is it a device? Right? We need to be aware that most people now will be consuming videos on their mobile device. The time, what time are they consuming the video? Now, you may not have a lot of control on this if you're throwing it out on social media, because even if you post your video at 6 o'clock at night, doesn't necessarily mean these days that people are watching it at 6 o'clock at night. But if you have a weekly vlog or a video series and you are dripping it out by email and it comes out at 8 in the morning, and you know it's coming out at 8 in the morning, you've architected it to be coming out at 8 in the morning, you can say things in the video like, good morning, here's your daily tip. And if people start to watch it in the evenings, subconsciously, by hearing you say that, they're going to say, hey, maybe I should be watching this in the morning, right? Because it's speaking to starting your day or things of that nature. The sequence. This one is important. Let's say you divide produce a 7-video series on a certain topic. Well, in that first video, you're going to really set the stage for what that series is and what you're going to be covering in that video. And in that video, you can spend a little more time positioning you as the expert, introducing yourself, not a lot of time, don't be that me monster, but you're setting that sequence. And then you're knowing that at the end, you're like, well, thanks for watching this video. Tomorrow, we're going to be covering XYZ. And then in video 2, welcome back to this series. Yesterday we talked about ABC. Today we're going to talk about XYZ and then get right into the content. You don't need to reposition yourself as the expert. By that point, you can probably just title the screen with your name and people will know who you are. And lastly, the location. Where is this video being housed? Are you shooting a video that's going to be just for Instagram? Are you shooting a video that's going to be just for Facebook? Is it on your website? Now, if you start to plan your marketing and you know that, hey, we're going to create a video that invites people to book a free consult, maybe we're going to write some Facebook ads and we're going to run some video ads. So let's shoot a variation of the video that's just solely for that, because when we can speak just to the location of the video becomes more powerful. You can also reference certain things. So if you know your design of your booking page has the booking calendar below the video, you can say, if you'd like to book a free consult, right below this video here on this website, you can choose a time that fits your schedule. Now that wouldn't work if it's on Facebook or Instagram because the scheduled booking is not right below. You see where I'm getting at with this? So we need to consider out where they are consuming. So we looked at audience, and now we need to figure out the story. And by the story, if anybody has watched or listened to any of the videos that Donald Miller has done with story branding, read his book, done his training, we relate to stories. And by positioning the viewer into that story, by using you and positioning you as the guide, you're able to then create a story through your video. So let's look at how we do that. First of all, what I want to say is you need to figure out if you are scriptable. Now, by this I mean, what type of scripting do you require? There are certain people at different levels that absolutely cannot deliver upon reading a teleprompter. And by a teleprompter, I mean the script is written out word for word. You're reading it from a piece of glass in front of the camera and delivering upon that. It is a talent. It is a skill. It is something that if you absolutely want to do that, you're going to have to practice and learn it. I myself, from having a background in broadcast, I can do it. I just choose not to. So when it comes to me delivering video, I script myself in bullet points. And as we go through this, I'm going to show you some ways that you can break up and block your videos so that you don't have to memorize an entire video script and deliver it in one take. So are you scriptable? Yes, you are. But what way? Do you require just bullet points? Just some keywords, or do you need to have the exact script? When working with clients who aren't familiar or comfortable with being on camera, when you provide a script or you ask them to write a script, they want to deliver word for word exactly as that script. And as they are delivering those words, their brain is thinking, am I missing something? Did I forget to say something a certain way? What is next? And they'll stumble. And that's where the ums and the ahs come out in a video. An or an ah is an audible way for your brain to think. It's a pause. So if you're notorious for saying ums and ahs in presentations, you're going to have to give some conscious effort to replace the or the ah with silence. Silence is powerful in a video. When you stop, when you pause, when you collect your thoughts and move on, your videos will become better. Your content will be better. You don't need to rush through it. So next, you need to write out your idea. What is the idea of the video? And this is really where you can sit down, whether you want to do it on a word processor or a notepad, whatever it is, and just write out a rough idea of your video. What do you want to cover? what are the things you want to talk about, and all that kind of stuff, right? And if you ever want to give it a shot at writing it out in a script format or a story format, perfect, do that. But just write it out. Don't give much consideration at this point as to where you're shooting, what you're going to wear, what's going to be on the final edit, all that kind of stuff. Just get the idea out. And once you do, this one's key. It's why there's an asterisk there. Walk away. Walk away for at least a couple hours, especially if you're going to work on it that day, or maybe give it a day and come back to it. But walk away. Because writing out your idea can take some time, but it's key to make sure that you're not too close to the fire that you're starting to feel the burn. You need to walk away. And then you need to start to block. And by start to block, this is looking at that script or that idea and breaking it up, chunking it up into pieces. Like, where am I going to be on camera? What parts could be covered by an on-screen graphic? Or maybe there's a cover shot that I need to shoot, just blocking it out. Or maybe there's a stat in there that we want to emphasize, right? Highlight that. Make sure that we know that we want to give emphasis to this key point. And that naturally brings us to the scripting part of the whole process. Now, when it comes to a script, it doesn't have to be elaborate. And I'm going to show you here this template that I use. I've been using it for years, even when I went back to broadcasting school it'll be almost 20 years this year. This was the type of format that we used. Basically, it could be as little as a 2-column format, but I use 3 and sometimes 4. So the different shots are the different blocks. The left column being visual, what is seen, what's the framing of the shot, and the right, the audio, that's really ultimately the script part. So when we look at this one and we bring it in a little closer, from the visual side, opening headshot of Shaun asking the viewer a single question with his hands visible. With their hand visible, okay. So the script would be, let me ask you a question. Do you get nervous or uncomfortable when you have to be on camera? Well, don't worry, you're not alone. And then the next shot in the final edit would be a full screen graphic with an animated blue background showing a statistic for 7 seconds. So now we can use this script to start editing when we get all the video shot. So knowing that it's a full screen graphic and that you're not on camera, you ultimately could read this from the script. So fact, 4 out of 5 business owners have reported feeling nervous and uncomfortable when they first started appearing on their own making marketing videos. Okay, so knowing that I'm not on camera, I could look right at this and get the statistic clear. And then a wide shot of walking through a door towards the camera and then stopping beside a water cooler. You see, it's natural human reaction to feel like you were just, or let me try this again. See, take 2. You see, it's a natural human reaction to feel just like you are feeling when you have to shoot your own videos, right? And then it goes on from there. So using this format, you can then start to block out that script. Okay, and this is what we mean by a script. The right column there where it says okay, you can have multiple versions. You can print one off, and as you shoot it, you can check it off okay. Or you can write in there take 2 or take 3, so you know when you're recording which one you're happy with. So you can cut out all the ones that you don't want. And then from there, this side is optional, right? This is a different way of visualizing how the video comes together, and that's the storyboard. Now, if you do a Google search for storyboards, you can get them very elaborate, where they've taken a lot of time to draw out the scenes and things. I don't think that's necessary. I have a template that looks just like this, and this storyboard is really just so you can see the flow of how the videos come together. You may be able to do it just with your script, but I have clients that like to see it done this way as well. So how it works is, again, using that same storyline that we showed you in the previous script, Shaun asking the viewers if they've ever felt nervous about being on camera. So this is on camera. And then the next one is a statistic about the amount of people uncomfortable being in front of camera, full screen graphic. And then on camera, Shaun quickly tells a story about first time being on camera and how he was nervous. Okay, so as you see, we lay it out. We're not laying out word for word the scripting part, but we're just seeing the flow. And as you see it here, you can see, okay, well, that's good. There's a good balance here. And as you go through, maybe there's, multiple pieces that are in there. So you can start to lay it out. So this process could be even done before the script, or it can even be done after the script, or it doesn't even need to be done at all if you don't feel you need it. But a storyboard is a tool that is available to you as a video producer. Now, both the script template and the storyboard template file you can download with no opt-in from our website at bluecowmarketing.ca/PCon, obviously standing for PartnerCon. So if you go there, you can just download that as well. Okay, so we've gone through these top two, the audience, the story. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of video. That is delivery. That is producing your video. How do you do that? Well, remember when we went black there at the beginning and we talked about that feeling of nervousness? If you're new to shooting video, if you're new to producing video, that's normal. Right? I can remember when I came out of broadcast school and I had to be on camera for the first time. Now, prior to that, I was extremely shy as a kid. You know what? I hated talking in front of people, but it was that process that brought me out of my shell. It brought me to becoming comfortable talking to people and being on camera. But still, to this day, when shooting a video on prepared, I feel nervous. But if I prepare and I script and I know who I'm talking to, I know the talking points, I know the pains, the struggles, the challenges that I'm trying to get across in the video, that nervousness is eliminated. So, number one, it's normal. It's okay. Next, start small. Your first time, don't go and do a 20 video series on a certain topic. Do a quick 30-second, 60-second, 90-second video. Right? One specific topic, one purpose. Start small. You're going to be your worst critic more than anyone else. You're going to hate your video. You're going to hate the way that you look on that video. You're going to rip it apart like it is the worst thing you ever saw. And once you're aware that that's going to happen, you can let go. It's okay. There will be people who will watch your video and they will be so consumed with the message, they don't even care that your hair is out of place a little bit on your left ear, or there's a coffee cup in behind you because you forgot to move it. Trust me, your wife or your husband who's watching the video, they'll let you know that it's there. Happens to me all the time. This one's powerful. I recommend this all the time to new clients. Make 3 videos that are for no one. Nobody's going to see them. This purpose is to just go through the process. Now, obviously, don't do an hour-long video. That's a lot of time wasted. But go through the process of figuring out who your target audience is, what the story is, shooting the video, using the yous that are in there. Go through that process. And then just do it. Delete it. Right? Don't use it. Just do them for no one. Now, when it comes time to shoot the video, what are some things that we need to consider during the shoot? Number 1, smile. You love what you do. You are passionate for what you do. You absolutely are ecstatic to help people overcome the challenge that they have. Smile, right? You're not being held at gunpoint. Even though you feel so nervous in front of that camera, you need to smile. That smiling is going to release those endorphins. They're going to help you get over and enjoy the process. Look at the lens. That lens, you see right there in the image on the slide, that lens is the eyes of that person you're talking to. Now, when you have a conversation with somebody in person, you want to look them in the eye. The same thing is true when shooting a video. You want to look into their eyes. When you're not looking at the lens and somebody's watching your video, they can see your eyes aren't looking at the camera. So look into the lens. Number 3, it's okay to be real. Be yourself. Do not try to be fake or somebody else. And please do not try to mimic somebody else that you've seen on a video that you're like, hey, I really like their style. I'm going to be like that person. You are not that person. Be yourself. Be real. Number 4, give yourself a buffer. And by this, I mean, if there's a small little blip or hiccup or a stumble or an or an ah, right? It's okay, continue. That's part of being real. But give yourself a buffer. Usually what we do is, if you have 2 or 3 of those in a single take, then we're going to stop and we're going to start over again. That's our buffer, right? But if we have 1 or 2 maybe, right, it's okay. Leave it in there. You're being real. Now, when you do this and you have these retakes and these do-overs, I'll suggest once you hit 3, take a break and start again. It's kind of like an avalanche or a snowball effect, right? And I'm notorious for this sometimes. I'm shooting a video and I'll stumble on something and then I'll try it again. I'll stumble again on a different part, and a third time. It'll just keep getting worse, right? I need to have to stop, walk away, either go get a coffee, focus on something else, and come back to it and start again. And I guarantee when you come back, you're gonna nail it, right? You're gonna be really good at it. So when it comes to shooting, there's really 3 essential elements that you need to shoot a video: lighting, camera, and audio. So let's talk about the first one, lighting. Now, cameras are getting so much better that you don't require a ton of lighting. They're really good in low-level light, which means dimmer light, right? You don't need to have these high, powerful lights shining on your face. In most cases, if you've got the ability to shoot outside and it's not noisy, natural light is your best light. Things are going to look the most real. You don't have to bring in extra lighting, and it's fantastic. You can also leverage the power of that natural light in your office if you have a window. So if you have a big office window and there's light that shines in, then you can actually sit next to it and put the camera by it shooting at you. Right? You can leverage that light coming in. But if you do need light, lighting has come a long way in even the last 10 years with LED lights now. So now we can buy an LED panel light and plug it in or put a battery on it, and boom, we've got some great lighting, and we can actually change the color temperature. So that's, is it more reddish for inside or more bluish for outside? And we can change the color and the brightness and light that. Light yourself as a subject. And ultimately, you can get away with 1 light. Essentially, you really need 2 at a bare minimum, on the left side and the right side of your face, with the camera in between. And if you want to get fancy, you can throw one on the back side of you, shining against the back of your head or your shoulders as a third light, or we call that 3-point lighting. Now the camera. Oh, the camera. You know what? I think the camera is the biggest thing that people avoid getting into shooting their own videos because they feel they need this camera that's thousands of dollars. Now, while I also have a video production company, I have a camera that was $5,000. Okay, one of my cameras was $5,000. That's the most expensive one that I have. But in most cases, most of the marketing videos that I'm shooting for myself, I'm shooting it on my phone, my Google Pixel, or before that it was my iPhone. The cameras are fantastic in these devices, and there's a lens and a screen on the same side. So it's an exceptional tool for shooting. Now, if you want to bring in some other microphones, or you're interviewing 2 people in the video, then you're going to need to have a camera that can take those different audio sources, and then you might need a step up or run it into a separate audio mixer or so forth. But in most cases, for a single talking head video with yourself delivering a message, your cell phone will work just fine. And lastly, audio. Audio is key. Now, I had a radio instructor in school, and I still work with him to this day, who said something that stuck with me over the years. And he said, great audio is visual. Great audio is visual. Think about that. Think about years, decades ago, when people never had television and they had radios. They'd sit around their radios in their living room and listen to these audio programs. They couldn't see anything. They could just hear. It allowed your brain to start to formulate the images that went along with this audio. So when you hear sound effects, you hear things of that nature, you start to think about it. But also, when there's distractions in the audio, it takes away from the messaging. So if you're shooting your video and there's people in the background talking, and you can hear that in the video, your brain, when you're watching, is going to start to think about what's happening in the background, right? Or there's a traffic sound that keeps going by, or a ticking of a clock, right? A lot of people can't get past that ticking of a clock sound. You need to be aware of these little things that your audio can pick up, and that's why having a great microphone works really well. If you're doing a webinar, right, get yourself a Bluetooth microphone or a USB microphone. I have a Blue Yeti microphone that I'm recording this with, and I have another one on my other computer. They're fantastic microphones, right? Or if you want to go high end and you're shooting videos, get what we call a shotgun mic. Those are like those long, it looks like a magic wand. You see them in movies where they're hanging over top with the big fuzzy thing on it. That's a boom mic. Very directional, but they tend to eliminate all that background sound. Or a lavalier mic, one of those microphones that clip on you. But great audio is visual, and audio is going to be key in your videos. Now, once you're done shooting that video, now we're getting into what we call post-production, so after the shoot. And by this, edit only what's necessary. Don't over-edit. Now, there's a trend that's going on in videos where there's all these what we call jump cuts that are happening in these videos. And that's really somebody turned the camera on and they just went on and they just rambled, right? And they started to cut things out. And so you see the video of these little jumps, right? The characters jumping and back and forth and twitching almost, so to speak. Those are jump cuts. Those are distraction to the eyes, right? When you're looking at editing videos, edit only what's necessary. You don't need to cut out every and on and every delayed pause or things of that nature. And as you get better, you'll start to shoot to edit. And by that, I mean, you know what your video is going to look like in the end. You know a vision for it, and you've done that storyboard that you're going to shoot just what you need for those videos. Number 2, don't over effect. You may be new to getting an editing program, whether you're using iMovie or you got Premiere or Avid or any of those ones. And there's a lot of different effects that you can apply to videos and transitions. And while some of them you may feel are cool and nifty, right? I hate when people say, hey, there's a nifty transition I put in my video. But you want to avoid over affecting. These effects should complement the message. They should complement the video. The viewer should never see the technology being used. It should just be natural. So don't over affect. Add supporting titles. What we call those lower thirds, so the names of the person on the video. You don't necessarily always have to keep telling them. Like I said when we talked about sequencing, you can say who you are in the first video, but in the second one, maybe just a lower third title with your name and title can show up. And that's great, right? Or you're showing a location, right? We see these location titles that tell you the town and the state and the city and all that kind of stuff that's there, supporting titles. Stats, if you want to emphasize a stat verbally, you can do it visually by putting a text on the screen. That is a supporting title. Not every video needs an intro. Okay, so by this I mean, when we're starting and doing our marketing videos, especially if we're rolling it out on social media, we have a small window to grab somebody's attention. And we do not want to eat up that time by having an animated logo show up at the beginning of your video. You want to get right in. You want to hit them with that hook. You want to connect and you want to get them to the next part of the video. So really what you're doing is you're baiting them like 2 to 3 seconds at a time, 5 seconds at a time. Your goal in every 5 seconds of your video is to get them to want to watch the next 5 seconds of your video until it's done. You don't want to eat up 30 seconds at the beginning with an opening and an intro, right? If you want to put that branding to hit home and re-emphasize your brand, throw it at the end once the messaging is done. If they make it to the end, the messaging is good, then your branding will show up. Be a tease. So if we're going to be shooting and producing video for a series and you're doing maybe an educational series or a webinar and you've pre-recorded some of that stuff, cut out some of that content and put a little teaser video together to roll it out in different mediums out there, right? Maybe it could be a certain topic, right, that you talked about for 30 seconds in a presentation, right? You throw it out there online, people watch it, consume it, and then at the very end, it's like, watch the whole webinar here, or get this whole video series at this URL, right? You're teasing people with the content. You're showing them exactly what it is versus running it like a commercial ad. So up until now, we talked a lot about recording videos and what we call post-produced videos. But we all are aware that there's a a different breed of video out there. It's live video, and we're so consumed with wanting to be in live video. And that's why I wanted to put in a section here on tips for live video. So when we're doing live video, obviously we can't edit, right? We can't go into post-production. Once we hit go live, what people see is what you are doing, and what you put out there, people will see. So here are a couple things to consider with these tips for live video. Know its purpose. You're breaking down your content when it's going out into two different silos, an asset or a moment. Now, by definition, what I mean by this is an asset is something that's going to sit around longer. It's going to have a longer shelf life. So a webinar would be an asset, right? You're going to put more planning into this. You're going to spend more time on your slides. You maybe, if you're going to be on camera in it, you're going to set up your office space where you're seen to be, brand positive and look and represent, the way you're wearing your clothes is going to be thought out, right? It's an asset. It's going to stick around longer. What a moment is something that's just happening. So let's say, you're out at a conference, you meet somebody who's great at a topic expert. You didn't intend to do any kind of webinar or video with them. You pull out your phone, you're like, hey, we got to do a Facebook Live and just chat about this right now. Cool, let's do it, right? Boom, hit live, you pull up your phone, you talk about it. That's the moment. It's done in the moment, short term, short-lived. It's probably not going to stick around for a long period of time or be repurposed multiple times over and over again. Number 2, be aware of your bandwidth. By bandwidth, I mean the actual internet speed in which you are streaming. So if you're going to go out and you're going to be live, try not to be on like a public Wi-Fi at a cafe, because the bandwidth is notoriously not that great, right? If you're doing it at home and doing your office, turn off other things that may be eating up that internet speed, right? Well, we're streaming audio, we're streaming video all the time on our TVs and our devices. Another thing that a lot of people will do is once they go live, they'll open up another tab. They'll go click play on the live video just kind of to see if it's still monitoring and going well, right? Now you're doing is you're sending video up to the internet and you're also pulling video down, right? So now you're doubling the bandwidth need that your internet connection has to have. So don't do that. Number 3, it's live, make it live, okay? People want to watch live video because they want to watch live video. There are tools out there that allow you to fake live video. By this, I mean it allows you to present your videos by recording them and then using the software to throw it out and pretend it's live, okay? While that may have its purpose, it's okay to be really live. And by live, you can engage with people. When you're promoting a live video, and maybe you want to do a live video every Thursday from 3 to 4, you're going to do this, and this is part of your marketing strategy. Get people to engage, pose questions before that, so that when you're live, you can start to bring those questions into the content and engage people. And that brings us to number 4, fostering engagement. You want people to engage with you. You want people to comment on the video. You want people to want to be there live because it's better than watching the replay. And number 5, be purposeful. There needs to be a purpose behind going live, right? And you don't want to just go live because, hey, it's what the cool kids are doing and you need to do it too, right? You want to be live because you want people to know something's happening live, and there's a reason for it to need to be live, or you want to pull them in through that engagement. You want to answer their questions. You want to be current, right? And allow for that. And number 6, I love giving this tip. Don't be Captain Shoutout. You see this all the time. Somebody starts a live video at, let's say, 3 o'clock. You show up at 3 o'clock and you see them sitting there. And they're like, oh, hey, Joe, how's it going? Or, right? Because every time somebody comes online, their name will pop up, or they'll click like and they'll see the name on the screen. And they're calling out these people in the opening video, right? And they see, okay, there's 4 people on there live. Well, we're going to wait a couple more minutes to see if a couple more people connect, right? You hear this all the time. Well, what you really said is, hey, those 4 people, you 4 people who have shown up here on time, your time doesn't matter. I'm going to make you sit around before I actually deliver the message because I want more people than I already have because I'm being greedy. If you say you're going to start at 3 o'clock, start at 3 o'clock. I have done Facebook Lives where there was nobody on at 3 o'clock and I started. And I spoke to that one person because that video is going to stick around. And when people join late, they miss content. That's okay. They joined late. Don't be Captain Shoutout. And most importantly, when somebody you know signs in midway through, don't stop your messaging and redirect the attention that they came into the room. You would never do that in a live presentation in a room. If somebody walked in the back and sat down, you wouldn't stop your presentation and bring the attention to that person. So don't do it online. Remember, this is the reality. Now, before we close, I want to talk about some mad tips. These are things that I've learned over 18 years of video that you might be able to use. And these aren't very high-level things. These are things that you can get really inexpensively and tips that you can use to enhance your video, especially if you're shooting with your phone. The selfie stick. We all know these things. Our teenage kids used to have these and probably still got them kicking around, but you can get them for a couple bucks, even at dollar stores anywhere. But these are powerful tools, not for the stick part, but for the part that exists on the end of the stick. This right here. This is a spring-loaded clamp that you just snap your phone into. Looks like this once it's snapped in. But that threading on the bottom, the little screw terminal at the bottom, is a standard size that fits on any lighting stand that you can pick up at a video store, at a photography store for probably under 20 bucks. But you screw that on there. Now you've got a tripod. Even the screw mounts on an actual tripod plate will fit into this. So now, if you're shooting with your phone, you now can mount it as a tripod. Now, remember when I said about looking into the lens? And when we're shooting on our phone, we have a tendency to look at ourselves on the screen if we're shooting on the screen-facing side because we can see ourselves. But we want to direct our attention to the lens, and here's something that I've done before. Take a Post-it note, cut a little section out where the lens is, draw a little smiley face or whatever it is. Sometimes I've done a target and cut the middle out and stuck it on there, but that's who you are talking to. So when you're doing your video, you are talking to that face. And when you look in that direction, you're actually looking into the lens. You want to minimize your distractions, right? And by this, you're turning off everything that would be distracting to you. Pop-ups on your screen, your phone, put it on silent instead of vibrate because you'll still hear it or feel that vibration. If you've got windows to the outside and you've got some screens that you can pull down or close the blinds, if you don't need the light, turn that off because you don't want to be looking away from the camera because you see somebody driving by or walking by. Minimize your distractions. Now, everybody clap your hands. This isn't the part where we applaud, but your hands, the clapping of your hands is key for helping you figure out where your edits need to be, especially if you're shooting your videos yourself. So this right here is a typical audio waveform. You may be familiar with seeing this in editing. So when you talk and when you speak, the audio will show up on the editing timeline like this. Now, when you go along and you stumble and you're like, oh, I got to start over, clap your hands, then start again. When you do that, your audio is going to get these spikes, these definitive lines. These are like your take lines. You know when they shoot videos and they have those little clapper boards where they clap it down, right? Not only is it visual, but it's audible, right? That's technically the clap that you're trying to do. So when we're editing, we know that, okay, let's just go to these points and hear what the takes are, and then we can cut out the rest and go forward. But that clap is going to be key in helping you do that. Remember, audio, audio, audio. Your audio is king. Focus on your audio first. If you need to invest in one piece of technology, a good microphone, and you can get Bluetooth lav mics that work with your cell phone now, this is what you need. Great audio. Have fun doing what you're doing. This is why video is important. People that are on video, that are having fun, can be relatable to the audience. So in addition to those storyboards and those script templates, I created a book a couple years ago called The Guide to Implementing Video in Your Business by the guy who made video his business. And I created this book because I wanted it as a resource guide for those who want to start to shoot their own video. And I cover everything from scripting to camera selection to editing, to what to wear, to lighting. All the stuff is in this book. Now, it's also as a PDF format. If you go to bluecowmarketing.ca/PCon, again, no opt-in required. You're not going to be put into a list. It's just a straight download because I want this content to get out to you. And that's why I was doing this presentation for you here today. So that's it. That was my presentation that I was presenting at PartnerCon. I actually renewed my passport. But unfortunately I didn't. And here I am in my office doing this video instead of rocking it out with you guys down in Arizona. So thanks for watching this. And hopefully there was some great value and some content in that presentation that you can utilize in your business and take your videos from blah to heck yeah. Thanks for watching.